And here we go. All right.
Correction, Trevor, it's 9:02.
Sorry, your time, yes. 9:02 your time. All right, first off, our topics to discuss. We have a new client. St. Clair County went on with us a couple of weeks ago. I do not see anyone from there in the meeting, but they said they were going to attend. They've got lots of good ideas. So with that, we'll move forward. Items 2 and 3, our release completed and was effective January 6th. Our next release will be on February 3rd, and you can see some of the items there that we're working on. And that brings us to the major discussion items here. All right, so the very first one, this is basically the new My Apps and the old My Forms. We released all of the septic forms this past, I think it was the 13th is when they became active. So those are now available. I'm going to leave these two entries on here just as placeholders. The My Forms, just as a note, we don't have a specific date to cut that off yet, but we're looking at the third or fourth quarter of this year. We'd like to have everybody using the new My Apps. And if you guys have any suggestions with that, just send it to me. We'll get that going.
Hey, Trevor, just as a reminder to everybody, with the septic and wells forms now being released in the new mobile app, I would recommend that you test them out on the demo server, much like we did the food forms, just to kind of take a run through it, get comfortable with it, make sure we didn't miss anything. What we did was I know we're trying to address the septic and well system as a whole and revamp it. Since we haven't reached any conclusions on that or made any decisions yet, what we did was we just copied the functionality over from the current mobile to the new mobile app. So going forward, what we'll do is any new functionality that we introduce as that gets revised will be made to IMS and to the new mobile app.
Right.
And if anybody wants to have access to the septic and wells forms in the new mobile app on the demo server, just contact customer support and they will get you set up.
On that same note, as far as the on-site part, John and I are both looking at dates for the kickoff of that. It's separate change control board meeting. I was looking at maybe February 6th to start it off, and maybe it's not really the best time, being it's the first week of the month. I was looking more towards the end of the months, but I'll get with John and we'll decide on a date that works best for us and include everybody on that and send out an update. All right, so the next one, item B here, this is the new public portal that we're actually building right now. We have taken steps to identify the pieces that we're going to include in our first version. The first version we're calling is basically just like a beta system. So we're hoping to have inside that beta system some of the functionality that we want is the ability to create an account. The users can create an account. The users can submit a complaint both with or without an account, allowing them to submit those anonymously. The ability to submit an application for a septic system and a well system from inside of their account. And let's see, there's two more pieces. Sorry, one more piece, and that would be emailing functionality that's built into that. So those are the main pieces that we're looking at now. We've identified several other pieces that we're going to put in, but that's going to be in like a later version, maybe 2 or 3. And one of those will definitely be the online payments and service requests, etc. John, I know we discussed this. I have this as a question mark. Were we going to add the ability to have attachments to this on this first version? Do you remember if we agreed to that? I have it question marked. That was if they, if they do a septic system.
Sorry, I was on mute.
Uh,
This first version is going to be what we're calling the beta version. It's going to be more, not for you guys to turn it loose to the public. It's going to be more for you guys to take a look at it, to see, get the feel for the appearance of it, what functionality is going to be in there. And then, as you guys feel that you're ready to release it to the public, then we'll give you the link and then you can embed that on your website. This beta version that we're putting out will not have attachments on it. Version 1 that we actually released, that you guys can go ahead and let the public have at it, that will include attachments.
okay, maybe that's what my question mark was for on my notes here. All right, that's good. Also, if you guys have anything that you want to add to that, we plan on giving a demo of what we have currently in the next change control board. So it'll be a short demo. It won't be a working product 100%, but we'll have quite a bit of this stuff done. I've already discussed that with the developer, and he feels pretty confident we could have quite a bit for you guys to see at that point. But again, if you guys have any suggestions for what you want to see in it, please just forward those to me or John or both, and we'll get those on the list here. The next item, E. This had to do with the P, PFs, and Cs, creating different, being allowed to select those in this, like in this little screenshot here. Additionally, having a button in the mobile form that allows you to create and copy comments, and those two functionalities for this specific discussion item, they have been complete and are on production. So this will all be coming off.
Hey, Trevor, can you enlarge the screenshot of the mobile one? I don't know about anybody else, but it's really tiny on my screen.
How's that? It's still tiny.
It's better.
Let's see if I can make that any bigger. Is that better?
Yeah. So what that's going to allow you to do is also select cite multiple codes for a particular line item.
Yep. So again, that is currently in production. Both those features are, where you can select the PPFC, etc. This is quite large on my screen. Is that still viewable?
Works for me.
Okay. All right, next one, E, item E. A new flag for number of days, first routine after opening, license inspection must be completed. We've been pushing this one back, so I went ahead and made that as a priority 1 item for the February release. So we're hoping to have that one out by the end of the February. The next one, this is the alerts and print flags on comments. We were looking for, we have a development work item for this. It's been created. We were looking for suggestions, and basically, if you guys don't remember what this is, let me pull up the IMS system on demo here. So we were wondering where you guys wanted to see alerts, whether it is it when you guys wanted, log into the system. Currently, the only place that I see them is, let's just say you go under establishments. And if I select an establishment, I just happen to know this one, this is the one I created. If I edit this establishment, I'm going to get a pop-up. And it just went right there. So this would be the alert saying, hey, they owe us some money, something like that. Currently, this is the only location that I'm aware of that these pop-ups come from. They're usually created in this section right here. So you can add a new comment, do the date that you want it to show up, and then you have the alert section right here. You can put in a alert date effective from, and 2 is when it would expire. But if you just leave it on the from, it will always show up. It will highlight here, and it will also highlight on the dashboard. but it will not do a pop-up on the dashboard. Whoop, wrong one. So on the dashboard here, I have just a reminder in red here. But we were looking for feedback, and I don't know that I've seen any. Is there anywhere else you guys want to see this, or suggestions?
This is Carrie. It would be nice if when they open the AR or go to click on that establishment to do something in AR that it pop up, especially if it's an NSF.
Okay.
Some comments would also be nice if there's any way to connect that to the mobile, like when they open the establishment in mobile or look at the history, or I don't know how that could possibly.
I agree with that. This is Tony.
Okay.
When they're out in the field is probably the most important time for them to be seeing alerts and comments.
Okay. Specifically for just AR or anything?
Well, if it's in mobile, it would be during an inspection.
Okay.
Yeah, Trevor, what I'm thinking is in mobile, if we download that comment log, any active alerts we could pop up as soon as they access the establishment.
Right.
So before they begin the inspection, they should get some type of notification that alerts exist, or if we could just actually present the alert right then and there. It might be better if we just give them a notice that an alert exists so that they can go look it up, because I would imagine it's possible that the alert is something that you do not want the owner or operator to necessarily see.
Sometimes.
And if they happen to be standing there when that pops up and it just comes up automatically.
Right.
And I would say sometimes there could be multiple alerts too. So if it just alerts, there's alerts, and we can look at the alerts.
Okay.
Hit the alert one more time.
Danger, danger.
Okay. Okay. So we can add that those two ideas to our work item. Get that moving. If you guys think of any other places that you want to see them, just let us know, and we'll add that to that work item also. All right. The next one. This was.
Hey, Trevor,
Yep.
Can I go back to something that you said? I never, I hadn't considered this, and actually, I don't think we even discussed it as far as the alerts goes. But you mentioned it, and it actually, to me, it sounded like a good idea. Would it be useful that, and I don't know if we'd want to do it for all users or maybe admin users, when you first log into the system, just something we could either present all currently active alerts showing what establishment is and everything, or maybe present something that just says, hey, you do have active alerts. Is that of any use to supervisors or even the inspectors, anybody logging into IMS?
Maybe for complaints or anything, letting you know that there's a complaint.
Like if there's an open complaint?
Yeah, maybe something that's, I don't know.
Well, let's see. Do we have that? Let me check something, Trevor.
All right. For me, I'd like to know, I mean, if it was possible, if I'm looking at something and there's a complaint due or a new complaint, put that first and foremost.
That would be handy.
Yeah, those type of things, I think we're looking at, we need to get those added to the calendar. But do we have the comment log on the request complaints?
And I would say maybe on the inspection approval page for the supervisor.
And we could do that with complaints. That'd be a little bit more work because we don't have that comment log linked to complaints. Because usually on the complaints you have investigations, multiple of those, and the comments are logged there. But we could do that. But let's see, on the inspection approval screen. Yeah, on the inspection approval screen, if we were to highlight like the row or something in the establishment that it has an alert, and even put it in as like a hyperlink, like we do for like the mobile forms. And so on the inspection approval page, you know, it's got the by the inspection type and date. Right underneath it has the origin, whether it came from IMS or CDP Mobile. If it's CDP Mobile, it's an actual hyperlink that would open the form. If there's alerts on here, we could put you know, a hyperlink that says alerts exist or whatever that you could click on it and open those up. We could do something like that there for sure.
Okay. All right. Well, I added that to my notes so we can kind of discuss that internally, I guess.
Okay, so the inspection approval page, that's for sure.
Okay.
And then one thing we should do definitely else for sure, Trevor, is add comment log to the to complaints.
Yeah, request for service complaints. Yep, I got that one also.
But it didn't sound like there was much interest in having a bunch of alerts pop up when you log in.
I don't know if there's not an interest. On my end, I'm just not able to conceptualize the use at this point. But it doesn't mean we wouldn't be interested. If somebody show us how it would benefit us or how it would play into our daily use, it might be easier for me to conceptualize.
Well, I mean, from the way I would look at it, if it was me, you know, whenever you log into the system right here, if you just kind of like we have a dashboard for the establishment section that shows bits and pieces or screenshots of everything for that specific establishment, or at least a lot of things for that specific establishment. If you log in right here without having to dig deeper, you could potentially see, okay, here's the complaints that I have open, here's the establishments that owe me money, or something to that nature. If you have something specific that you wanted to be reminded for either a property, an establishment, or whatever, you could just have one little pop-up box that has all of those alerts in it.
Trevor, I think you actually addressed two different things here, though. So the second part of that, you know, the alerts part is one thing, but the complaint, an open complaint, I'm thinking that almost would be like maybe a user dashboard option.
Like just
where,
dashboard pops up?
Yeah, where we could list, you know, open complaints, and then also maybe like inspections that are due, you know, upcoming inspections, you know, due in the next, you know, if today's Monday, due by, you know, that you got to do by Friday.
Right.
You know, like the next, maybe we show like the inspections that are scheduled for the next 3 or 4 days.
What do you guys think about that? Any interest in that one?
And maybe what we could do is take, you know, make it appear something like similar to this. It wouldn't be as much information. It would be inspections, but like I said, it would only be the ones over the next few days, upcoming, that are due in the next few days. Open complaints, alerts, but I'm thinking we might be able to display that like right under the news items, right on the menu specific for that user. Maybe something like that.
This is Madison County. We'd be in favor of that.
Okay.
So I mean, it certainly wouldn't be, you know, detrimental to anybody, because it's just going to be given information. I suppose if there was a reason to not have it, we could make it as we're trying to do pretty much everything like this now, make it a county configurable option where we could turn it off for some and turn it on for others, if, you know, based on their choice.
Yeah, having the
Trevor,
option there I don't have a problem with having that option there. In fact, with my guys being out in the field and my inspectors being out in the field, they may find more benefits and uses going, oh, we've got this, cool, I like this, where I'm not seeing it. So having the options available, I'm all for having options.
Okay.
If
Yeah,
I'm,
Trevor, add that to the notes.
Yep.
I think that's something we should definitely look into adding in the upcoming month or so.
so the dashboard would only be from IMS though. So if they were out in the field and they didn't have internet connection, then that they don't have a dashboard in the mobile, correct?
Well, I'm not going to say yes or no to that yet. I'll wait and talk to my lead developer on that one, because if we can, once we decide on the exact information that's going to be shown in the dashboard on the IMS main menu page, I then need to look at how much of that information is downloaded to mobile when you sync your database. If it's just a matter of adding some stuff, we may be able to provide that. It may have to be, I don't know if we could do it in a way so that as soon as you log into mobile, when you're out in the field, it pops up right away. It may have to be like considered a form that you would open up. And maybe it would just be the one listed at the top, and they could open up their dashboard when they're out in the field and see everything. But that's definitely something that we can discuss. I wouldn't say no to that right away. That may be doable.
Okay. I thought of one other place where maybe a pop-up for an RFS might be beneficial when we go to create a new RFS, because sometimes we'll get multiple RFSs for the same thing within like a day or so. And it would be nice if it popped up somehow so that when our clerical were entering those in, they could either add to that complaint rather than having to search to see if they had that same complaint or not.
So you're
we
saying,
don't have 4 complaints for the same complaint.
oh, okay.
They're not duplicating complaints, if you will.
One thing we do that we've had this actually in place for years, and for Kentucky, is they define what the criteria is for a potential duplicate. And so when somebody inputs a new RFS and they click that save button, if that criteria is met, we give them a warning that says this is a possible duplicate. What they're forced to do at that point is they can either cancel out of that page, or they have to scroll down to the bottom of the page and click the duplicate OK checkbox, in case for whatever reason it's maybe extremely similar, or they do need to log a second complaint again. I don't know what the reasoning is, but so I forget, and I don't remember offhand what the criteria is.
Hang on, John. I think let me log into North Carolina. I think they have that also. Just want to take a look at it.
I'd be interested in seeing what their criteria is and how that works.
I'll tell you what, I will ask one of my developers to take a look at that, and he should be able to give me an answer before our meeting's over.
Thank you.
Sure.
That's this one right here, right, John?
Oh yeah, okay, so it's there also. I don't know what I don't know if the criteria here is the same in Kentucky or not. I'll ask Jeff to look at 2 of them.
All right. Do we want to move forward, or?
Yeah, it'll take him a few minutes to get me to look that up.
Okay. All right. So that was that one. The next is going to be, is anyone interested in having the inspection forms printable in another language? We are done with the on-site forms at this point, the way they are currently. I will bring this up in our next planning session on Monday with our team and see if this is, if we can start a research item on this to see if it's doable. And that was G. And I assume if that was possible, the language would, the first language, if it's something that's kind of difficult, what is the preferred language, at least for the first iteration? Would that be Spanish or something else?
I think that would be Spanish.
Okay. Okay, I'll bring that one up.
I agree.
I would assume the next one would be probably Mandarin Chinese. I know that North Carolina, they have something similar. They don't have that, but they have like hand washing notices that are in Mandarin. Okay. All right. Discussion item H. When printing in my apps, there is a blank page that's generated. We are aware of this. Originally, Joe Davies reported this, and internally we have seen this happen. As of this past Monday, there was a new version of the server software where this stuff is created that we implemented just on our test system. And our lead developer is actually looking to, supposedly that's supposed to fix the margin issue when you're printing and potentially remove that extra page. And we discussed this. We discussed that on planning on Monday, so he's looking into that. So hopefully we'll have a resolution pretty soon with this one. The next one, Lee County. Well sealing form needs to be able to issue multiple sealing forms under a single permit. Currently, my understanding is the well sealing form, if you're out in the field, when you go to submit that form, it auto-generates a permit number, but it doesn't allow you to issue other well sealing forms underneath that specific permit. Am I saying that right, John? Or Jennifer?
You're talking on the well ceilings now, right?
Yeah, that's the one that
so
we were discussing.
Yeah, the issue that Lee County reported is that when they put in a well sealing form, that's actually where we are assigning the permit numbers for the well sealing. What they're saying is they would have a permit for the sealing, but they may have to fill out multiple the sealing forms itself. I was always under the impression that the sealing form was in fact the permit.
I would say no, and I would prefer that it be able to be issued like the well and septics.
Okay, so you would rather it be where you create a permit and then that well sealing form, you could add multiple under that permit?
Yes.
Does anybody disagree with that?
Oh, we agree.
Because it's kind of a backward process, and we have like a separate tracking thing, which is irritating since we have this database that we aren't using in that fashion.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Easy
All right,
enough.
we'll move forward with that. Trevor, we'll set up a work item for that. I guess we'll throw it back out there one more time. Does anybody disagree?
All right, sounds good.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, I'll create a work item, put it on our planning session for Monday. The next two are kind of, when I was looking through this, both J and K are pretty much the same thing. One of them is basically for all of the forms, and one of them was just for the priority assessment form for mobile. What was requested was basically whenever you, in mobile, on the inspection footer, that's where you could email the inspection out. What was requested on the priority assessment is that it defaults to yes. But then I had other people ask, can we just default it to yes across the board for all the forms? So our question is, if we made that a county configurable option, Would most people would you guys want that to default to yes, or is that a bad idea? Basically, it's the email to yes. You
We
guys,
would like to default to yes.
okay.
Yeah, I would say any form or what have you that they're required to sign, definitely email to yes.
Would that be true also for potentially the blind copy for yourselves?
Yes, please.
Yes.
We haven't started using the My Apps yet, but is this automated, or do you have to do something to generate those emails?
No, I'll show you real quick.
Thank you.
All right, come on. It's still downloading some updates here. Okay, good. All right, so let's go to the inspection form. And let me pick an establishment. So if I go to the very bottom part, the inspection footer, this is basically the end of the inspection. At the bottom here, I have the ability to, the email options, the blind copy, you would hit yes right here. And if you want to email the final report, you hit yes. If you do that, it allows you to enter the two email addresses right here. And these you can change this out if it has changed since the last time you were inspecting it. But basically, we're saying to default these to yes.
And then when you upload or connect it to Wi-Fi, then it go ahead and sends those?
Yep, to whatever you have right here in email 1 and email 2. And if you have the blind copy right here, it's going to email the inspector that was on file. So whenever, basically that's used to, reassure that if you've got it, then it was actually sent to these two people also. Or at least if there are two email addresses. But yeah, it happens right when you hit the finish option right here. All right, I'll make some notes on that one. Looks like yes all the way around. And John, did we make that? I remember we discussed this. I don't know if we actually did it. The requirement for a signature, did we make that a county configurable option yet?
Let me double check. I was actually wondering that very same thing as you were talking about the email.
I know it's been requested.
No, we have not.
Okay, we'll probably have to do that at the same time. Just because if we default to CS, that's.
And I think we've, over the course of the last months or year or so, we've added several things that are county configurable options. Trevor, I think what we probably should do is get a list of these now, because the list is getting pretty lengthy.
Yeah.
And document it, make sure everybody knows what options they can choose to use or not use.
Yep, good idea.
Yeah, that would be greatly appreciated. Knowing what the options are, even on the existing system, is kind of overwhelming for long-time users.
Yeah, and this list has grown rapidly, and it's going to continue to grow. So we'll put together a list, and we'll need to keep that updated as we move forward.
Is that on the county table?
Right.
Maybe you should do a webinar for all of us.
That's probably not a bad idea. Go through each of the options, and sometimes reading it, you don't really understand. If you could actually get an explanation and see it in use, that's sometimes very helpful. Yeah, Trevor, I think we should definitely consider that.
Yeah, so here's the list right here. These are all county configurable options. We probably need to go back through here and maybe reword some of these so it has a little bit better meaning. All right, let me meeting. Do you guys want a separate meeting for that, or do you want to do it at the end of maybe the next change control board? Once we go through all the discussion items, we can just go through this.
That might be easier than trying to schedule a meeting.
Yeah.
Maybe extend the next meeting by a half hour, and we'll use that extra half hour if needed. If not, then we can just end whenever we're done. But
Okay. All right.
Hey, and Trevor, going back to that duplicate complaint, I got an answer on. In North Carolina, the criteria is it the same county, logging it, the complainant address, and request date.
Complaint address, request date. Complainant address, date.
Yeah, so now if the complaint gets logged, say by two neighboring counties, say Madison and St. Clair, for instance, if we were to use that same thing, if St. Clair puts one in for the same request date with that exact same address, it would not get picked up as a duplicate, though.
I'm not understanding why two different counties would have the same complaint. Do they cover both of them?
Well, I'm just wondering, what if you got a house that's right at the border? I'm just throwing that out there. That would happen if two health departments were called for the same thing. So because we do include county on the criteria, but I guess in that case you'd each want a record of it anyway. And then in Kentucky,
if there's any chance it's on the border, we're gonna try to drop it like it's hot and give it to the other county anyway. So we're not gonna log it.
Ditto.
Right, we'll find that out before we enter it.
it's like calling dibs on it, huh? Except
It's
reversed it.
It's like, not it.
And in Kentucky, it's pretty much the same thing. It's by county, the address, but they also include the complainant last name and then the request date.
Would that be effective with districts, John? Is that probably why? Maybe they're a district. You have multiple counties in the district.
Well, in Kentucky, yes, because they have districts. They have several districts.
Okay.
Health departments, yes.
Okay.
That's a pretty rare case in Illinois. I can only think of two that I know of.
Southern 7 and
Egyptian.
Okay. All right. The last item that we have on here is for on-site. We recently added advanced treatment leach field as a system type for Lee County. Does everyone need that, or is that spelled correctly, leach field?
I believe so.
Anybody know what this is?
I don't.
I'm going to guess it's a newer technology, and if It just hasn't trickled around everywhere yet. I can't remember if that's stuff with the popcorn on the outside or the styrofoam things.
See, this is
The
where Mr.
styrofoam that's easy flow, and under stats, Chad Mormon wants that under gravelous systems.
I would say with our current form, it's not, I don't know if it's worth adding because the form doesn't change and you end up having to type a lot of things in the remarks anyway, and then your drawing is the most important part of that inspection form. If it's a choice, great, but until we make the form more flowable and dynamic, then I don't know if it's
something we should
one half
probably.
dozen the other.
I just Googled it, and there's quite a bit of information out there about them, and there's some videos. There's one advanced treatment leach field septic installation video. It's a 2-minute video.
Is that like a name brand then?
Um,
Is that a specific company? It's not important, but I guess where I would go with this, and Adams doesn't use a wastewater portion, but wouldn't each county be able to create their own or add to their own tables?
yes. It's already been
what type of systems to use.
Yeah, it's already been added for Lee County. It's already in use by them, which is, I didn't know if this was something that, like, since Lee County's using it, if it's going to be found all over the state and we needed to add it for everybody else, or if you guys come across it, just let us know. We can add it in there.
Well, just because Lee County's doing it doesn't mean everybody else is going to do it. The whole jumping off the bridge.
It's
Failed
advanced.
Joke. Sorry.
I got it, Tony. It says advanced treatment leach field is a passive gravelless leach field system. No moving parts or power required.
So we would just put it under gravelous.
Okay. Again, that's up to each county. If for some reason you come across it and you need to report separately on those, just let us know and we'll just add it in as the types. That can be done, just right on the fly.
Okay. All right. So that is it for the current discussion items. Just to kind of circle back around to the on-site piece of this, John and I are going to look for a date that actually works well. We're currently also doing the same type of thing for North Carolina, where they're creating we're separating the on-site part so that they can come up with ideas about how they want to change some of the things, maybe the workflow processes and things like that. Are you guys, what they've done is, I was wondering if you guys would do the same thing they're doing. They went ahead and created a small committee of about 4 or 5 people, 4 or 5 counties, I should say. And before we have our next call with them, they're going to come up with some ideas internally and then present those to us and, on how they want to see things done. Is anyone here interested in doing something similar to that? Maybe, talking with, some people.
We did that, and then we have different ideas of what would go under each type of system, but I thought we're waiting for you guys to kind of show us maybe a demo of a less stagnant form, if you will. And I know that you guys had talked about what's our front end process to see what pulls from the front end into that form, and so on. So I kind of feel like if we were to regroup as a committee again, we're kind of going backwards.
Yeah, no, I think we need to get together. We need to do it right on the change control work calls, because that past effort didn't work out too well. What I'd like to do is, and I mentioned this before, when we restart these meetings, take us back through the process. This system was designed 10, 12 years ago, something like that.
Yes.
Maybe a little bit even more. You know, so and it was designed when we only had one county going too.
Right.
So
Right.
now everybody's on, and there's as we've seen, and this is true in every state, that there's just a lot of differences county to county in how the septic and well stuff is handled. So we need to just go back through the process. Let's take a look at each one of the the pages within the system, include the forms. You know, are we identifying the right fields? Is there a more efficient way to do things? And let's just start over, because we're pretty much open to doing whatever needs to be. We realize the septic and wells need some improvements. And this is, everything that we do here, it's not going to be done as a charge to any of the counties. This is going to be all done by us. But we just need to make sure that we have the right understanding, so when we do this, it ends up being what you guys need.
Okay, so that'll be the very first thing that we do, John. Once we decide on a date, the very first thing we're going to do is just review the system. The very first call, go from there,
Right.
and get some ideas. Okay.
Yeah, but then what we need to do for this to actually work this time, at the end of each call, we need to identify what are our next steps, action items.
And I thought this was set longer, so we could start talking about that stuff.
I'm sorry, Carrie, what was that?
I said I thought this meeting was an extra hour, so we could start seeing where we need to go with the on-site and the well stuff.
On this call today?
Yeah. On my calendar from 9 to 11, but I don't know if
Did I do that?
Let me look at mine.
I may
Yeah,
have.
it is set for 2 hours.
That's my fault.
I didn't
I'm not
realize
complaining.
that.
It probably gets me out of something else.
Well, I guess for those counties, those who are on the call that use the septic and wells, do you guys want to stay on this call for potentially another hour to discuss this, or would you like to just break this out into a separate call like we discussed and start on another date?
This is Lisa at Winnebago. I'd kind of prefer a different date. I have every Tuesday a 10 o'clock webinar for about 8 weeks here, so it interferes with my being able to do both.
My initial date that I was looking at, and I was kind of discussing with John, was February 6th at 9 o'clock a.m. your time for the initial meeting. That doesn't have to be, the 6th of every month. It could just be, maybe we can come up with a better date that for you guys, whatever works the best. I know, we're not going to get everybody's schedule perfect, but we can try to come close.
Is there the only thing we can do is ask, is there generally a day of the week that works better for you guys in general?
This is Alan. Fridays, I generally don't have any meetings scheduled.
Friday is what I was going to suggest, because I think back when we did these calls originally separately, yeah, I believe they were on Fridays.
Yeah, and my concern with making this meeting longer is that on the same week as this meeting falls, I have a 10:30 meeting on Tuesday, so I run straight from this to that meeting, so my morning's pretty tight.
All right, yeah, I think probably what we should do is just start these as a separate call.
Okay.
I don't think Trevor had intended to schedule this for a 2-hour meeting today. I think that
was an accident.
So we can either, let's see.
They were all in this room.
Okay, sorry.
Why don't we start a week from this Friday on the 31st?
That sounds good.
Okay.
And we'll go.
If we can for those.
I'm sorry, Carrie, what'd you say?
I'd prefer morning if it's going to be on a Friday, please.
Would 9
How
a.m.?
about, 9 a.m. Central?
Okay.
All right.
All right, let's go with that.
Okay. That being said, does anyone have anything else?
I do for Adams.
Okay.
I think Sarah's microphone is not muted, and we're getting some echoing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah. We're still playing with the demo version of the My Apps, and we had one observation and one question. One is on the signature line on the demo box or on the demo unit here. If we can bring that up, I could probably describe on the on the final signature where we're.
Are you talking about like this right here?
Yep. So one thing we noticed, most people tend to sign on the line right next to the X, and if you have characters that go below the line like J's, Y's,
Right.
that sort of thing, it stops writing. Is there a way to, I mean, we can circumvent that by saying don't sign on the line, sign in the middle of the box.
Right.
But is there a way to push that line to the middle so that people do what they habitually do?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get with our mobile developer lead guy on that one.
Talk
I
about
think
your
you
next.
discovered exactly what.
I'm going to send that to Tom right now, Trevor, and
Okay.
ask him.
Okay. I mean, I know for sure that's going to probably have to most likely go over to Myco, but I definitely see why.
The signature doesn't stop like on the current forms or whatever that we're using, like the issue we have with the Surface Pros.
Right.
But we just have a different signature issue, and we can teach people that's not horrendous, but we might as well try to figure out something that we don't have to explain every time.
Right. Right.
So that's one thing we noticed. The other thing we noticed was on the actual check boxes for when we're doing check boxes on the violations to select violations in and out of compliance. So, and any left-handed people here are going to tell us to toughen up, but my right-handed people have to put, when they tend to touch their palm in the middle of the page, and the touch screen does adverse things. So the question is there an option to put the check boxes on the right side for right-handed people or left side for left-handed people?
Adapt. We all have.
I see. I already knew you were going to say that, and I've got a left-handed guy that says, "Yes, finally, you guys finally feel my pain." The only difference is this is digital, and you get touchy feeling on a touch screen, and it causes other issues.
All right.
It happens both.
John, are you in contact with Tom by any chance?
I'm talking to him about the signature thing.
Okay. Did you hear what they mentioned about the check boxes?
No, I did not.
All right.
Sorry.
So my screen right here, if you're looking at my screen,
Yes.
for left-handed people, they would prefer these ins, outs, NAs, and NOs to be on the right-hand side.
For right-handed people.
Right. I'm sorry.
Because right-handed people on this screen tend to put their hand and palm in the middle of the screen, causing touch screen issues.
I will run that by Tom.
Wonder if that could be configurable also.
Oh, it would have to be.
Can't you just use your fingertip or a stylus? Why are you palming the page, Tony?
I'm not. This was a concern from Mitchell.
Mitchell.
Sounds like Harry knows Mitchell.
She does. And so I'm just forwarding his request on, knowing that there's left-handed people that are saying toughen up.
Let's see.
I'll let you guys think about that.
Okay. On the signature thing, Trevor, yeah, we'll have to submit that to the design vendor.
Okay.
Our vendor our partner that does the designing software, to see if that could be doable. So we will submit a ticket on that with them. And then I'll talk to Tom about the left-handed, right-handed option.
Cool.
Did you guys talk about possibly changing the ones that are out to red instead of black?
Like that?
Sure.
Is this what you were talking about? The highlight red?
Well, actually, I'm thinking when we print that, I'd like that to come out
Oh, printing.
for that violation, that particular violation, to be in red when it's printed and when they see it on the screen, so that they are actually aware of the ones that makes it pop out.
Yeah, Trevor, we talked
Yeah,
about
I remember
that. I don't remember off the top of my head. We talked about a couple different options for that. Get that on our team agenda.
Okay.
And get that back. And we need to come to a resolution on that. I thought Tom had told us that there was a couple ways we could do that. But that's been on it for a while. That needs to get resolved. I think that actually would be a priority item.
Does that go through violation 33 with that being in red?
I would say we go through all of them.
Yeah, I would like it to be on all of them.
All of them.
I thought we were discussing that for risk factors, but I can't remember that now. But yeah, if it was for all of them that were out of compliance, that would be okay too.
All right. Okay, I'll put that on our agenda for planning on Monday. Because yeah, like you said, John, we have discussed this, and I don't remember where we left off with it.
Yeah, you know, Trevor, so that we can get an update to everybody about what we can and can't do, instead of waiting until Monday, why don't we just set up a quick call with Tom, you and me, Tom.
Okay.
And just talk about, because it probably should only take us about 10, 15 minutes, and then that way you can update the agenda notes with what was determined, and then we can
go forward. All right.
You can let everybody know.
Will do. All right. Anybody have anything else?
Nothing for me.
All right. Well, thanks for your time, guys. I will send you guys an update once John, Tom, and I have our discussion, and we'll go from there.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you. Stay warm.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yep.
Thanks.